Hello, I'm Kendra Cook, your host for the DCTV Daily News program out of Dove Creek, Colorado. It's brought to you by the Dolores County Broadcasting Network with support from the Southwest Colorado TV Translator Association. That's the special district association responsible for bringing the area free-to-access TV stations over the air by antenna. This is a community TV station, so if there's a news story or event information that you would like to share, call us at 970-677-4119. And if you're a business or organization or an individual, we welcome you to find out about sponsorship opportunities for banners or video segments run on the channel. This is the Tuesday program for March 2nd, 2021, DCTV Daily News. At the end of each month, the Dolores County agency heads gather with the Board of County Commissioners to give their monthly updates to keep everyone abreast of what is happening across the government. As February was a short month with various meetings last week, the summary was held on March 1st at the beginning of the BOCC regularly scheduled meeting day. It commenced with the GIS office update, reporting that they are looking to map the tombstones for the cemetery district and noting that there have been more addresses given out last year than ever. The office management also noted that septic permits have also increased. GIS office will add that data to the overall mapping moving forward and work on the maps as well. A brief discussion was held on the census tracts and data delay and the unknown issues of when the information will be released and when the deadlines will actually be for redistricting. The clerk's office updated that the ARCA search company will create a fabulous search engine instead of having to go into the grantor-grantee books. Books and pages can be looked up on the computer. The clerk's office and assessor's office will be trained on it. Surveys and maps will take a bit longer to get uploaded and matched up. CSU reported that they are working on a virtual pruning workshop coming up, putting PowerPoints and offering virtual instead of in-person workshops. Cattle and forage grower updates with 4 consecutive series has happened. The 4-H program has 21 kids, and they're allowing a lot more in-person activity than last year. A dog and cat vaccine clinic is scheduled with drive-through options. They'll also be working with an intern 2 days a week this summer, a master's graduate student from CSU that also works with Montezuma County CSU will be doing assessments for the needs of the community and how to best assist the businesses for growth. She'll also address how DCTC can do better. The overall community needs assessment and data collection has happened, and soon they'll be moving to focus groups and community groups. The Extension Office is also looking at tracking soil moisture with a focus on alfalfa to determine water needs to get the best use and timing of water delivery. The Weed District is working on equipment upgrades. The Fairgrounds is working on a water leak. The board will be setting the junior rodeo boundaries. Probably will be very similar to the 2020 operations. Trap shoot is set, and some are wanting to do some turkey shoots. We'll follow up on that opportunity. They'll be setting the fair to run like it did last year as well. Last August. Assessor's office is dealing with reappraisals. There's a lot of sales that have happened and they're continuing to happen. It's hard to say if things go up or down property-wise as far as the overall income for the county. Road and Bridge said that it's still too wet to do much dragging work right now. They're getting ready for spring. One of the pits can be closed down. They're ready for reclamation once it dries out. The roads were graded and that all went well with all 7 units out there going full bore. Sheriff Wilson updated that the courthouse security office starting March 10th will be doing town ordinance work. They will be doing the work on Wednesdays and Thursdays, so they will not be in the courthouse those days. She will be there at the courthouse on Monday, Tuesdays, and Fridays. And she is also going to be certified as a VIN inspector, going to classes in April to allow for better scheduling for certified VIN requests. The force has been busy with knuckleheads, he said. Also regarding the evidence room, they looked at the county road shed in Cajon, and it looks like it will work perfectly. They will be getting a stand-up portable lighting system to put around the vehicle for processing a vehicle. And Steve Davis will need to change locks when security has to occur, and he will be notified. Keith Kiesling, as emergency manager and search and rescue director, reported SAR had gotten $10,000 worth of free equipment donated from a snowmobile and as well as titanium Stokes basket that was donated by Alpine Rescue. The emergency porta potty should be ready soon and available. That sounds funny, but it will be available for things like the drive-through cat and dog clinic. Avalanche snow safety is shifting quickly to drought and wildfire preparations. They created a community voice special event emergency plan for the CV's proposed June OHV event. Several other technical updates were shared, and that the county's remote PC program to access work remotely now has a remote meeting function, just like Zoom. You can schedule meetings through them, and they can help you put that up or set it up for you as needed at the county level. Social services should be moving into their new building in the next 2 weeks or so. Training continues. Youth up to age 21 continues to have them offered mental health vouchers for up to 6 free 1-hour sessions for our youth in the county. And DCTV updated about the new Talk Around Town interview news segment, and that the tower was offline for 1 day while farmers removed a piece of equipment. The DC Chamber reported that discussions surrounding the opportunities for activities around the 4th of July celebration are in the works, with an open Zoom meeting next Tuesday, March 9th at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Those are open for the public input and volunteering coordination. And on tomorrow's news, we'll give you the updates from the county commissioners' summaries. A note that this is an overall report and not the entire full details, nor is it based on approved minutes. This is the courtesy of sitting in on the publicly accessible Zoom meeting. If you would like to attend an open book meeting, BOCC meeting, virtually, we at DCTV post up the agenda and Zoom links twice a month, and you're welcome to join. And now let's take a look at the local weather. Some snow and then more like meteorological spring, which is March 1st, though solar spring is on the equinox on March 20th, plus or minus. Today's sunny with a high near 45 degrees with southeast winds at 5 to 10 miles an hour, becoming south-southwest in the afternoon. For tonight, mostly clear and a low around 22 with east winds 5 miles an hour. For Wednesday, it starts sunny with a high near 53 degrees. Wow, we haven't seen those temps in a long while. South winds at 5 to 15 miles an hour, but then into Wednesday night, there's a slight chance of rain and snow showers sliding in before 7 p.m. Then snow showers are likely with increasing clouds and a low around 31 overnight. Southeast wind 10 to 15 miles an hour, becoming south-southwest after midnight. Right now, that chance of precipitation on the overnight Wednesday looks around 70%. But the new snow accumulation, however, looks to be less than 1 inch possible. This continues into Thursday morning with a 50% chance of snow continuing in the morning, mostly cloudy and a high near 43 degrees with south-southwest winds 10 to 15 miles an hour, becoming northwest by the afternoon. And then into Thursday night, the moisture clears out with mostly clear skies and a low around 26. For Friday, sunny again with a high near 51 degrees. Friday night, mostly clear and a low around 30. For Saturday, mostly sunny and a high near 55. Saturday night, partly cloudy and a low around 32. And for Sunday, sunny with a high near 52. Sunday night, mostly clear and a low around 31. So though we may see a bit of snow fly or rain showers for tomorrow, the temps up into the 50s for the daytime will make it truly feel more like spring is in the air. And now, back to our news. How are you faring listening to the news from mainstream to alternative? Feels like a never-ending stream of information or disinformation that is intended to make you fearful and thusly eventually sickened. This is not unintentional, but here goes. Let's look at the weather issue of recent. Gulf Stream hits its weakest point in 1,000 years, researchers say, as reported in Sputnik News. A group of scientists from Ireland, Britain, and Germany have presented new research suggesting that the Gulf Stream, an Atlantic Ocean current that plays a role in shaping weather patterns across Europe and the U.S., particularly along the U.S. East Coast, has reached its weakest point in the past 1,000 years. The shift in the current circulation, with the weakening formally referred to as the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, or AMOC, can be largely explained with one crucial man-made factor, the researchers stated: climate change. According to Stefan Ramsdorff, one of the study's authors, the oceanic current acts like a gigantic conveyor belt, moving nearly 20 million cubic meters of water per second, redistributing heat on Earth. The question is still open, however, about the ramifications of the decline. According to AccuWeather senior meteorologist Bob Smerbeck, it could lead to rising sea levels as water masses become sufficiently warmed, yet, he said, it remains to be seen what extent it will happen. Quote, one possible repercussion discussed in Article 1, the first study mentioned above, about warming waters along the East Coast from an AMOC slowdown could lead to rising sea levels due to thermal expansion of the seawater. This seems plausible, Smerbeck said. Whatever the cause or whatever the case may be, previous studies show that rising water temperatures and hence higher sea levels will lead to more extreme weather events such as stronger tropical storms, extreme heat waves, or a sharp fall in summer rainfall, which we need desperately. Other researchers, however, claim to have come up with contrasting data. Of course they have, suggesting that the Gulf Stream hasn't actually weakened over the past 30 years. Exploiting a different data modeling system, researchers from the United Kingdom and Ireland pieced together data from climate models that they suggested in a study published earlier this month showed no overall AMOC decline. So what do we actually know about the weather until after the day has passed? Again, actually, it is becoming more and more mainstream information that geoengineering, and now thanks to Bill Gates, solar engineering, is taking and has been taking place not only in the U.S. and by the U.S., but countries around the world. Bringing it back to effects we can easily see, Greg Hunter reported on climate engineering researcher Dane Wigington, who says that the big snowstorm that hit Texas and much of the South is nothing short of weather warfare. There are many clips online showing that the Texas snow won't melt, which brings the common sense question, what is in the snow?
Okay, it is getting more compact, which is a good thing. I guess that's normal. Okay, now watch this. So nothing's melting, and it's turning black. And that's what blew me away. I've never known snow to do that before. But all of it's turning black. Can you see that? There's no snow melting down or anything, not even down my fingers or anything. What's up with that?
Wigington states it's synthetic, but the mainstream media, MSM, is telling you this is a hoax. This is anything but normal. Wigington says that the bottom line in regard to the flash freeze that Texas was just hit with, we can debate the agenda behind these operations, but the fact that this was not an act of nature is beyond scientific question. Those neck deep in the weather modification program are dictating what the scheduled weather will be. Because of the illegal federal gag order on the National Weather Service and NOAA, our nation's weather people are actually reading scripts given to them by the geoengineers themselves. This article announced on February 6th that almost 2 weeks before this event happened in Texas that it was coming. So there's no question this was a massive act of weather warfare. This is only a mere extreme example of what's been occurring all over the globe or around the world for decades. It's getting worse all the time because the unfolding climate collapse is getting worse all the time. It's being further fueled by climate engineering. Expect such events to continue and worsen rapidly, end quote. Wigington continues saying that all these weather agencies and MSM sources' main job is to cover the tracks of the geoengineering, the artificial modification of the Earth's climate. Can you imagine if people all over the globe woke up to the fact, or all across the world, woke up to the fact that their weather has been completely hijacked and derailed? Then every single weather cataclysm becomes suspect as a result of these operations. This is toxic. We are breathing in these particles of heavy metals, polymers, and surfactants, and possibly more. This hurts our immune system and makes us more susceptible to pathogens like CV-19 or any other things they might be releasing. Can you imagine if populations were awakened to the fact that they were doing this to them without their knowledge or consent? Tuskegee Airmen, think about that. They are subjecting them to an experiment for which there is no return. Geoengineeringwatch.org is not a political organization. They are only trying to awaken people to the fact that we are under a very real and immediate assault. The Texas Gulf Coast was recording temperatures that were 30 degrees colder than what was being recorded at the North Pole, and we're not being told that by the MSM. Just when you thought it could not get worse, it does. The geoengineering, commonly referred to as chemtrails, that you see the crisscross patterns in the sky, play a role in the CV-19 so-called pandemic or plandemic. Wigington says yes, and he says, quote, just look at the facts, Wigington explains. When you look at this statistically, you had 85 countries infected over the course of 3 days. That does not fit into any known model for a pathogen to spread that rapidly. There were different strains showing up in different regions. The notion that this just spread by itself to that degree does not match any statistical possibility. Wigington backs up what he has to say with data, video, and pictures of extreme weather caused by geoengineering. Again, it's geoengineering.com. Wigington cites just one of thousands of examples on his site, saying at geoengineeringwatch.org, not .com. You can search the engineering winter section and look at the images they have. For example, 75-pound ice balls that are perfectly spherical ice balls on the shores of Lake Michigan, Baltic Sea and Arctic Sea, and waters that are far too warm to support ice. In Lake Michigan, they had 40-pound balls in the water that when it was 40 degrees. How can that happen? He says, we have pictures of Boston Harbor slushed over with ice where the seawater was 40 degrees as well. Seawater doesn't freeze until 28.4 degrees. So how can this happen on that body of water? It's because of chemically nucleated dispersions. We're simply asking people to look at the data, look at the patents. One of their primary goals is to mask the severity of the environmental collapse from the population until the last possible minute to keep the population from panicking, end quote. So don't panic, but do some research on your own to drill down to what really is happening. And again, this affects everyone all across the world. There was a United Nations Weather Weapons Treaty of May in 1977 in attempts to keep nations from using weather against each other, as was the case with Project Popeye, when the U.S. generated downpours in the late 60s, early 70s to make mud of the Ho Chi Minh Trail in Vietnam as a strategic advantage in that conflict, according to now unclassified documents. So, though it's wonderful to thank Mother Nature for all she gives us, mankind or man-made climate change, and we're not talking SUVs, is actually happening. To be aware of it is a great first step in our collective understanding of what is happening in our world today. And here's another bit of news you can use in your future. It may not be hitting southwestern Colorado at this moment, but according to Newswire and Zero Hedge, most of society has no understanding of what is about to unfold. Quote, tribulations, there are no rules. Google will be instrumental in causing mayhem around the globe or across the world. Google geofence warrants keep locking up innocent people who were in proximity of a crime scene. Yes, this is a story about what they're calling geofence warrants. They're talking about a geofence, algorithms that identify where you are relative to any perceived crime scene because of your cell phone and the data that is on that, and it allows warrants for your detention. Months ago, these websites detailed an incredibly scary and Orwellian tool in the local police arsenal known as a geofence warrant, as it's essentially a virtual dragnet over crime scenes where police request to sweep up Google location data drawn from users, GPS, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and cellular connections from everyone who happened to be near a crime scene. From this blanket of surveillance, law enforcement then try to figure out which phones may be tied to suspects or possible witnesses. Already, this type of blanket surveillance warrant, which works as a kind of guilt by proximity at the time a crime occurred, has been used by police to arrest what turned out to be innocent bystanders who were suddenly surprised to find themselves prime suspects. It's perhaps been used only dozens of times, but will likely only increase alongside similar pre-crime algorithm technologies. In one instance earlier this year, a Gainesville, Florida man was caught up in this because he merely rode his bicycle unbeknownst near a home burglary at around the same time it happened. And it was in 2018 that for the first time a man had been falsely accused and arrested based on a controversial geofence warrant for the crime of murder. The details of that prior alarming case are listed in 2018. 23-year-old Jorge Molina was arrested and jailed for 6 days on suspicion of killing another man. Police in Avondale, Arizona, about 20 miles from Phoenix, held Molina for questioning. According to a police record, officers told him they knew, quote, 100% without a doubt his phone was at the scene of the crime based on data from Google. In fact, Molina wasn't there. He'd simply lent an old phone to the man police later arrested. The phone was still signed into his Google account. The information about Molina's phone came from a geofence warrant, a relatively new and increasingly popular investigative technique police use to track suspects' locations. Traditionally, police identify a suspect, then issue a warrant to search the person's home or belongings. So much for that supposed 100% police certainty. It's but one example illustrating the likely hundreds of ways geofence warrants could be abused or flat out link completely innocent individuals to a crime. It also strongly suggests old-fashioned detective work is increasingly being replaced by dubious technological means. Look out, AI. The case later fell apart and police finally caught the real killer. In early 2020, Molina sued the city police, specific officers that arrested him, as well as the chief of police. He's also now suing Google for $1.5 million. According to the latest report in Wired magazine, a couple of recent breakthroughs may help in both Molina's efforts and privacy advocates to hope to see the practice end. Federal magistrate judges echoed these criticisms in July last year from the U.S. Attorney's Office in Chicago for geofence warrants to help investigate stolen pharmaceuticals. The office said it used a 3-step protocol that protected users' privacy. First, it limited the request to a specific time and location. Then it looked for corroborating information about the phone's identity being identified as in the area. And only after that did it ask Google for specific information about a small number of device owners. 2 judges have now denied requests for geofence warrants, citing Fourth Amendment protections and lack of evidence, which privacy groups are hailing as a huge step towards banning geofence warrants altogether. Let's hope for more individuals to see common sense and constitutional rights to remain in place, or our future will be nothing like you've seen in the U.S. before. And in happenings, you may have seen our Colorado State Governor declared March 20th Meat Out Day, or Don't Eat Meat Day, which actually has been a designation by others since 1985. Anyway, to each their own, our Dolores County Commissioners, following the lead of 30 other counties across the state, have passed a resolution for March 20th to be Eat Meat Day in support of our local producers, cattle ranchers, sheep and goat raising farms, chickens, pigs, and in support of the farmers who grow feed for the animals. This Saturday, on March 20th, is for you. That same day, March 20th, the State Line Bar and Grill west of Dove Creek is having a belated St. Patty's Day party, so you can eat your meat meal there if you'd like. For the actual St. Patty's Day on Wednesday, the 17th of March, Bangers will be having a special green deal, the kind you want to get behind, and no doubt we'll be telling you of other specials around town for that Wednesday to celebrate the green. And these type of notices and information are posted on our Facebook page. To catch the program online, do visit our Facebook page, which is DCTV Daily News, or also we're online on YouTube. Both you can follow and or subscribe to and join in on the conversation. Again, that's your local community TV station. So if you have something that you would like to share, please contact us. Email me at dcbnnews@gmail.com, or you can call and leave me a message at 970-677-4119. Thanks for tuning in to DCTV Daily News. If you like the program, please do like and follow us on Facebook and share it with your friends and family. This has been a production of DCTV for the DCTV Daily News program out of Dove Creek, Colorado, USA. I'm Kendra Cook. Be well and keep thinking for yourself.